I just want to say for the record that my homegirl beat me to the punch on reporting on this matter. Secondly, I want to let you know that Barry Soetoro recruited the wrong nigga. He did. Barry Soetoro. You guys affectionately call him Barack Obama. I disaffectionately call him Satan in the flesh. So what I want to do is share my screen and prove to you why I think this. I think, therefore, I am. So you got this article here, which was one of the first people to break this news, where it clearly states Supreme Court rules Muskogee Creek Nation historic boundaries never disestablished by Congress. This is the brand new map of Oklahoma. The 5 civilized tribes, the ones who were subservient to the colonizers and the conquerors that came over and genocided our people, our family, our relatives, went to the Supreme Court and defeated the same Supreme Court that Byron Allen appeared in, and won the argument and was awarded this portion of Oklahoma, which is over 29,965 miles, approximately 29,965 miles, I meant to say. That's nearly close to 30,000 miles. So now, the 1866 boundaries of the 5 tribes include 29,965 square miles, about 43% of Oklahoma's land mass. The current population of this region is over 1.8 million, roughly 48% of Oklahoma's population. That's why they were awarded close to half of the state. Okay, let me play this video here. It seems like a commentary on it or something. Supreme Court ruled that a large chunk, let me start it over. I thought it was going to be some sound going on. Why y'all can't read out loud? Supreme Court hands Oklahoma. Let me pause it because nobody can possibly read that fast. I don't know why these people do this. Supreme Court hands Oklahoma a loss on tribal lands fight. The Supreme Court ruled that a large chunk of eastern Oklahoma remains an American Indian reservation, a decision that state and federal officials have warned could throw Oklahoma into chaos. The court's 5-4 decision, you notice these people? This is the Supreme Court that Byron Allen, he should remember all of these faces. The silent one, this guy that's in dishonor, but still sits on the Supreme Court. And all of these supremacists here and white nationalists, except for the Hispanic lady and this warlock here. I mean, well, all of these men are warlocks, every one of the men are warlocks, but these two are witches, of course. It's that's how they present themselves in private at their orgies that they have. The court's 5-4 decision means that Oklahoma prosecutors lack the authority to pursue criminal cases against American Indian defendants in parts of Oklahoma that include most of Tulsa. The case the justices decided involved 71-year-old Jim C. McGirt, who is serving a 500-year prison sentence for molesting a child. McGirt could potentially be retried in federal court. They put the orange on him, and he molested a child, huh? That's pretty severe stupidity. I would like to see the the evidence in that case. It's just possible with looks fairly Mongolian. So Mongolians do those type of things. That is kind of their tradition. So I would lean towards it possibly being true, but this is my first time hearing about that. So if he did that, then he deserves the death penalty, not 500 years in prison. The Supreme Court, with 8 justices taking part, failed to reach a decision last term. In that case, the appeals court said the crime occurred on land assigned to the Muskogee Creek Nation before Oklahoma became a state.
For more information, you can visit TulsaWorld.com.
Oh, now you want to talk, huh? No problem. Silly woman. The U.S. Supreme Court on Thursday redefined what for decades federal and state prosecutors thought had been Indian country in eastern Oklahoma when it comes to crime enforcement jurisdictional purposes. The court upheld challenges from 2 American Indians who claimed criminal cases prosecuted against them in state court would have been tried in federal court because Congress never disestablished the 19th century boundaries of the Muskogee Creek Nation Reservation. Since statehood, state courts have heard criminal cases where jurisdiction was considered to be on non-tribal owned land, while federal courts have handled major crimes that occurred on tribally owned land, referred to as Indian country. The decisions mean Oklahoma prosecutors lack the authority to pursue charges against American Indian defendants in much of eastern Oklahoma, including the city of Tulsa, Oklahoma. It also throws into question the convictions of hundreds of American Indian defendants. So that should cause free to be established for the people that were unduly convicted in eastern Oklahoma. Crimes not involving American Indians will continue to be prosecuted in state courts. Both the state and area tribes, in a joint statement, downplayed any concerns about problems the ruling might cause down the road. Prior to the ruling, both state and federal officials predicted that a decision against the state could throw criminal prosecutions here into chaos. The 5-4 decision in one case, written by Associate Justice Neil M. Gorsuch, noted the concern from those opposing the decision. The federal government promised the Creek a reservation in perpetuity. That means infinite amount of time. Gorsuch wrote in a case filed by 71-year-old Jim C. McGirt. Wow. He basically caused his own freedom. He's the one who wrote it. Yes, promises were made, but the price of keeping them has become too great. So now we should just cast a blind eye. We reject that thinking, Gorsuch continued. If Congress wishes to withdraw its promise, it must say so. Yeah, that's a fact. They have to verbalize their dishonor. Unlawful acts performed long enough and with sufficient vigor are never enough to amend the law. To hold otherwise would be to elevate the most brazen and long-standing injustices over the law, both rewarding wrong and failing those in the right. Wow. Only Congress has the power to disestablish or reduce the boundaries of a tribal reservation. Associate Justices Stephen G. Breyer, Ruth Bader Ginsburg, Elena Kagan, and Sonia Sotomayor. Tom, hold on. Is that man named Tommy Sotomayor? Yeah. Oh my gosh. That's some funny stuff. Joined Gorsuch in his majority opinion. The decision reverses lower state court rulings against McGirt. A second one-page decision in the case of Patrick Dwayne Murphy upholds a federal appellate court decision that overturned his death sentence. McGirt and Murphy are members of the Seminole and Muskogee Creek nations, respectively. Both men challenged the long-held belief by most that the state of Oklahoma since statehood had jurisdiction over crimes committed on non-American Indian-owned land in eastern Oklahoma. The two men claimed that the 19th century era historical boundaries of the Creek Nation, which covered an 11-county region in eastern Oklahoma, including most of Tulsa, were never disestablished by Congress. McGirt is serving a life without parole prison term in addition to two 500-year sentences. After he was convicted of the 1996 rape, sodomy, and lewd molestation of a minor in Wagoner County. McGirt's case, which is similar to Murphy's jurisdictional challenge, sprang ahead after the court withheld a decision on Murphy's case last fall, leading some to speculate that there might be a 4-4 tie in the case of Gorsuch, recusing because he was on the 10th Circuit Court of Appeals in Denver when the Murphy case was decided there. Gorsuch did not take part in the Murphy ruling, which affirmed the appellate court decisions. Murphy, 51, had challenged on jurisdictional grounds his conviction in the 1999 murder of a man in McIntosh County. Murphy, like McGirt, claimed that his conviction and death sentence should be vacated because the state of Oklahoma did not have jurisdiction to prosecute him. The 10th Circuit ruled in favor of Murphy, relying on prior U.S. Supreme Court rulings to determine that Congress had never disestablished the Creek Nation tribal boundaries established in 1866. Prior to the ruling, attorneys for the state and federal government issued dire predictions about what could happen if the reservation was found not to have been legally disestablished. Oklahoma stands on the brink of the most radical jurisdictional shift since statehood. Attorneys for the state of Oklahoma argued in a reply brief filed with the Supreme Court in the Murphy case. The federal government backed Oklahoma's opposition to the never disestablished theory advanced by Murphy and McGirt. The federal government lacks sufficient investigatory and pros, prosecutor, prosecutorial resources in the area to handle that volume of cases. The FBI currently has the equivalent of 7 agents for all of eastern Oklahoma. Attorneys for the U.S. Department of Justice wrote. Statements Thursday from those on both sides of the cases were more muted as to the practical effects of the decision. The state's 3 U.S. attorneys downplayed any strife that could develop from the decision. As Oklahoma's United States attorneys, we are confident tribal, state, local, and federal law enforcement will work together to continue providing exceptional public safety under this new ruling by the United States Supreme Court. The written statement said, okay, now I'm going to pause here to let you guys know that this statement proves what I've been teaching for years is not a problem. It's scary to them. It may cause a concern for the public and cause panic for the public. It can do that, but when people are so used to just living their lives and surviving and being distracted by the entertainment that they are fond of, as long as they can continue to watch TV and listen to the radio, listen to their favorite songs, watch their favorite shows, and watch their favorite movies, and go to the park without problem, as long as there's no interference in their daily activities of their personal pursuit of happiness. Pursuit of real estate is how it is originally phrased. As long as the public doesn't feel any form of deterrence in their moving around and going about and traveling and recruiting income for the happiness and the health of their families, then rulings like this will never be a problem. This includes for Black people. So when Black people are pursuing these methods of jurisdiction and self-determination, no one will panic because it does not interfere with their personal lives at all. All it does is swap titles of land. That's all it does. So those titles cause jurisdiction switches, and those that are not a part of the families who the jurisdiction has switched to, just like it says here in this reading that I just read, it said that the people of the Creek Nation will rule over themselves and judge their own matters. And anybody not of the Creek Nation will still be going to the courts, the state courts that's already built in those lands. You see, on the east side of Oklahoma, as I showed in the map. See what I'm saying? So that's the same material practicality that's going to occur as Black people understand and practice their God-given rights. You see what I'm saying? So you have a right to many things, unalienable rights. So as according to the Bible, which is codified in the United States codes, per their flaw in judgment, right? They codified the Bible into the United States codes. So there's a passage in the Bible that states that um, Israelites, or as defined as Negroes, right, um, are not subject to tribute at all. So they in the Bible it defines it as tribute to Babylon, but see, the entire society today is Babylon everywhere in the earth because they are just um, wise enough to conquer everywhere. But their wisdom comes at a price. See, when you are wise to do evil and just conquer and slaughter and genocide worldwide, that causes a insurmountable debt. You see, because you can't pay back the lives that you took. You see, you can't pay back the lives that you took. So you passing those debts on to your children and your descendants in perpetuity. I mean perpetual. You're gonna be perpetual servants because you can't. It's impossible for you to bring those people back to life. You don't have that authority to bring those people back to life. So you know you kill them all. Well, 98% of the indigenous population that was here before Columbus, before 1492. And that's in North, South, and Central America, which includes Canada, Alaska, Hawaii, Bermuda, uh, America, Mexico, the islands in the Caribbean Ocean, Caribbean Sea, the Galapagos Islands, and then South America, the entire South America. So all of that um, uh, is your debt in reality, but it's going to take a wise black man in order to um, pose that argument, or actually just to notify them that that's the case. And the reason that they have a choice to not take it seriously is because of their military might. You see what I mean? So they can just decide to dishonor themselves as they always do and just genocide everyone again. But modern society is in like a, a state of relative peace, to where they have the most advanced nations have come to an understanding that the murder that they performed is not necessary to cause their happiness. You see what I'm saying? It's no longer necessary to have vast amounts of land because they don't need to bring in uh, vast amounts of cattle anymore, and they don't need vast amounts of land to grow food out of the ground. You see what I'm saying? They can just have specific locations to grow food out of the ground and the cattle and raise the cattle and things like that. They don't need all of the land for that anymore, and they have mined enough material out of the ground uh, to where they could pretty much never ever spend that amount of money that they have generated or produced out of the earth. You see what I'm saying? So if they can never ever spend that amount of monies, then there's no need for them to go mine anymore to get more money, because the money that they already have, they can never spend. Not in 10,000 lifetimes they can't spend. So they have come to the more advanced nations have come to the realization that we got enough money and we got enough money to spend and keep our families happy and healthy. So there's no need for us to genocide people anymore. But they're being tricked again by Bill Gates, saying that everyone that the Earth is overpopulated and we can't fit on Earth. We don't have enough space we don't have enough room. Humans don't have enough room to fit on Earth. And so this is the reason why Bill Gates has his plan to just kill as many people as possible. And they want to get it down to a manageable population of 500 million in the entire Earth. Okay, so I stopped here because this says, as Oklahoma's United States attorneys, we are confident tribal, state, local, and federal law enforcement will work together to continue providing exceptional public safety under this new ruling by the United States Supreme Court. So when Black people pursue this method of establishing self-determination, this is going to be the result. That's what I monitor as results. That's what stands out to me. I'm sorry. That's what stands out to me is the results of strategies, the results of strategy. So if I take the strategy of claiming a documented reality, where in this particular case, the reality is that the Congress never disestablished the reservation that was in Oklahoma. So that means that space, that area of land still exists and is still under the rulership of the 5 civilized tribes. So they divvied it up like that. You see, so the same holds true for the genocide that happened with my people. Well, these are my people too. The the um, the Afro Native Americans, the Afro Indigenous are my people. So we have the same claims in those locations, and then you have in many locations around North, South, and Central America. Uh, but it's just gonna take us, a smart guy to do that. So, I can get around to it, but yeah, I need support. You know what I'm saying? It's kind of stuff. Like this guy here, he was completely broke and did it. He was in jail with the orange jumpsuit on and wrote this information and sent it to the proper people. And it made it to the Supreme Court while he was locked up. So clearly, he must not have spent a penny to do that. Or maybe he did. Maybe he had to still pay for the filings and stuff. But that's a nominal fee, and it's not that much. So, you know, I can get around to it, but you gotta say, yeah, we want it done. So I guess somebody did tell me to get around to it since I know the information. Somebody told me that a couple of weeks ago that I need to do it because Byron Allen is unaware of these things. He's just a successful businessman that thinks that um, being as friendly to white people as possible is the uh, only solution to personal success. You see what I'm saying? So by him losing the 1866 civil rights uh, case, right? So he went to court um, trying to assert the 1866 Civil Rights Act in his appeal that Comcast and the guys screwed him over. So now the lower courts agreed with him that he screwed him over, but he took it to the Supreme Court anyway. So now it's highly coincidental. It's highly it's a strong coinkydink. You see, the 10th Circuit ruled in favor of Murphy, relying on prior U.S. Supreme Court rulings to determine that Congress had never disestablished the Creek Nation tribal boundaries established in 1866. So they say, oh, it's so long ago. Slavery was so long ago. Oh, no. Bruh, you don't get the fuck up out of my fucking face before you lose your life around here, bruh. 1866 is not as long as you think it is. You see what I'm saying? So now at the same time, this nation, this unified nation, took on the debts and responsibility of that process that happened in 1866. Process that happened in 1866. They were unified, and they still, as unified, still established that information. But the Civil Rights Act of 1866 says that we have the exact same rights as a white man. So it's just fully understood and has no argumentation. There's no argument necessary that whenever they see a white man, he's just free. There's no argument. They see him as a free person. They see us as a slave. See what I'm saying? So you have to let them know that you're not a slave, and so you notify everybody you possibly can. So you don't need to notify everybody individually, but all you need to do is notify the authorities that they respect, which are the county, the state, the federal levels, and then the financial, the what's them boys called, the CFO, the chief financial officers of that whole, of all of those people. See what I'm saying? Including the people who are the accusers. So that would be the district attorneys on all levels, the county, state, federal, the district attorneys of all those levels. So you notify all those people that you're free, and then whenever a little peace officer, a riot officer, a death officer comes around and says, could you show me your free papers? You have a mark on your skin that tells me that you're not free because you have black skin. I can see your skin. You clearly are not a free person. So there were hundreds of thousands of free people that were my complexion back during the time of the slavery. During slavery, there were hundreds of thousands or millions of slaves. And then there was, at the same time, hundreds of thousands or millions of free people that had my skin complexion. And so they didn't have to show their free papers. They just told them that they were free and dared them to do anything or lose their teeth. You see, this was before the establishment of the fraternity of the brotherhood of the brotherhood of the police force. You know what I'm saying? So they established a force called the runaways. The overseers of runaway slaves and whatnot. This, that, and the third. And then that coalesced into what we know of as the police today. So they screwed up. Now, let me go back here. All right, quick. Okay, let me get back in. All right, statement from yeah. So that's where this line alone proves this line alone proves that uh, that the freedom of oppressed people will not be met with a civil war. See what I'm saying? So I'm just trying to see. It's going to take black people to do these things. This guy was just one guy, and won half of Oklahoma for his entire family, his relatives in Oklahoma. See what I'm saying? So the same thing can happen for black people. And Barak Soetoro recruited Byron Allen, who's unaware of this methodology and this whole thing, thought process, this whole understanding of law. You see what I'm saying? So he had to use his millions of dollars to hire lawyers who clearly didn't have his best interest at heart, and uh, did did the lawyers shuffle and just said, "Oh yeah, we got you, buddy, we got you," and then defecated it on him. See what I'm saying? So that's something that I would take personal, but I mean, he's a different guy. That he likes. He uh, he has a strong affinity to white people. Okay, so a statement from the state of Oklahoma and 5 major Oklahoma tribes echoed the spirit of working together. See? So the Supreme Court apologized, restituted, repaired, restored the land to them, and that caused the Thanos snap. Now all the Oklahoma 5 major Oklahoma tribes disappeared, like I told Trump on the other video. That recognition of oppression and then alleviating the pressure of oppression by giving them their own space caused the Oklahoma tribes to say, now we're willing to work with you because you have proven that you are reasonable minded thinking people. And you know what I'm saying? Any other ruling in this particular case, just as the 1866 Civil Rights Act case with Byron Allen, proved that the Supreme Court are not thinking and ruling people. But the problem with the Byron Allen case is that he hired people to speak for him. So they don't have this understanding either. See? They're not trained to know right from wrong. They're trained to research historicity in law records, and then to theorize a strategy on how to use their words perfectly to cause the reaction the result that they want to see. But that's not how law is handled. Law is handled based on right and wrong and consent and agreements that have been made, wherein in this case, the Oklahoma case, the reservations was a settlement for the people who surrendered in order to end the genocide. See what I'm saying? So that the Native American and the American war ended in a settlement that gave the Native Americans lands so they can live amongst themselves in peace and harmony. You see what I'm saying? So whenever those things happened, and whenever these things happen, the 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 conquerors still perform every form of hate that they can on the conquered people, saying that you're weak. You know what I'm saying? So only the strong survive, and that type of mentality. So as long as you're super weak, they continue to oppress, and so they perform what we know as sanctions on these type of events where the Oklahoma. I'm trying to keep it specific to the topic, even though there's hundreds of these uh, incidences that I can share with you, but I'm trying. It's already confusing enough to know for you to hear this information and not really fully grasp why it's important, where it's coming from, how the Supreme Court came to this conclusion. I just read for you that and told you outside of the reading that the reservation was a settlement on, as you know, you ever heard of the Trail of Tears? So they were displaced from the East Coast and everywhere else that they were tired of fighting, and it was tired of being genocided. So they surrendered, and then when you surrender, the people say, uh, how can I make your stay here a little more comfortable now? See what I'm saying? So it's not a terribly terrible thing that people walk around and say, hands up, don't shoot, like we're surrendering and we're tired of being genocided and stuff like this. But you also have to know how to settle the matter. So the way you settle the matter is that you go to the conquering party that you have surrendered to, and then you say, well, we need this space over here so that we don't have to interact with uh, people who hate us so much. And in that new space, you're going to experience sanctions. That's just automatic. But you should have enough talent within your space. You should have enough brilliant minds to build your own everything so that you're very comfortable in that new space. I mean, it seems extremely simple to me because I study it, but I don't think I have the language to share it to your satisfaction. You see what I'm saying? To get you to understand how simple it is. It's nothing to it. You see? But I guess the amount of words that I'm using sounds confusing. It lulls you to sleep and things of this nature. But I mean, it's a very simple process, bro. The state, the Muskogee Creek, Cherokee, Chickasaw, Choctaw, and Seminole nations have made substantial progress toward an agreement to present to Congress and the U.S. Department of Justice, addressing and resolving any significant jurisdictional issues raised by the U.S. Supreme Court's decision in McGirt versus Oklahoma, the statement says. The nations and the state are committed to ensuring that Jim C. McGirt, Patrick Murphy, and all other offenders face justice for the crimes which they are accused. We have a shared commitment to maintaining public safety and long-term economic prosperity for the nations and Oklahoma. The nations and the state are committed to supplementing. See how they're calling the tribes nations? So I've had to argue for many years that there are nations residing inside of the borders of the United States, and they do not have jurisdiction over the area of the nations. So it's easy for you to proclaim and notify uh, them that you have represent a certain number of people, and these relatives is now uh, self-determining and uh, recording and notifying the people who the conquerors that you are a nation of people and you're going to govern yourself. So when you say I can take care of myself, this is anybody, right? Like say for you have a child, right, that you raised for 18 years and they got intelligent and you raised them right. You raised them on the law of God their whole life. And then they become 18 years old and want to go off to college. So then they would have to make money on their own, pay their own bills, pay for school based on their scholarship, you see, or pay it out of pocket. They would have to take care of themselves. That's how the conquerors view you saying, I can take care of myself. I don't need you to take care of me anymore. So what they do is they stop chastising you. They just leave you alone. They perform apathy, which is the opposite of love. Hate is not the opposite of love. Apathy is the opposite of love. So that's just not caring at all. They just lose all their cares, cremate their cares. They don't give a fuck about you any longer. That's how it is when you say, I can take care of myself. So if I'm 5, 10 million people, and we say we can take care of ourselves, thanks for raising us. We're going off to college now. Thanks for raising us. We're going to produce our own money, work for ourselves, and trade and sell our own products, perform our own services, and get paid for working. Then they're not going to assist you in any shape, form, or fashion. That's called sanctions. You know what I'm saying? So just be prepared for that. So in order to prepare for that, you just have to have talented people who understand entrepreneurship and stuff like this. You know, the kind of like the Tulsa people, since everybody is so familiar with that in light of the COVID, everybody seems to have gotten caught up to speed on Tulsa. You see, but yeah, man, the nations that live inside of the United States and the state of Oklahoma are committed to implementing a framework of shared jurisdiction that will preserve sovereign interests and rights to self-government, see, while affirming jurisdictional understandings, procedures, laws, and regulations to support public safety, our economy, and private property rights. That's all they require, is for you to not disturb their health and happiness in pursuit of real estate, as they included here. So that's cool. They see they made it very clear here that they're pursuing real estate, private property rights. They're in the chase for money and public safety, uh, which is a form of happiness, to where they're not hindered and bothered and harassed and oppressed. So don't come around here trying to oppress us. We're gonna let you go and give you your land back, but be sure that you keep the public safe from child predators if McGurk is a child predator. See what I'm saying? from murderers if Murphy is a murderer. But he could have possibly defended himself and caused someone's death, which is not murder. This guy here uh, may have not uh, uh, had sex with a minor, but if he did, he deserves to die. Okay. So now, if this guy committed murder, he deserves to die. That's just how it goes. So now we will continue our work, confident that we can accomplish more together than any of us could alone. Tulsa Mayor G.T. Bynum issued the following statement after the ruling. Muskogee Creek citizens founded Tulsa, and our successes and challenges are shared, Bynum wrote. They were before the court's opinion, and they will continue to be. We remain committed to the same strong cooperative relationship we have had for decades with the Creek Nation, and to the shared obligation among all jurisdictions, city, tribal, county, state, and federal, to serve all Tulsans, city, and tribal residents alike. For most residents and most purposes, recognition of tribal boundaries will not even be noticeable. Importantly, the court's opinion does not affect private property ownership. Where there is any jurisdictional uncertainty, we will work with our partners to develop mutually respectful cooperative agreements such as our intergovernmental cross-deputization agreement. Okay, so they integrate their authorities to be sure that the standards of public safety and all these things are still properly met. So now, this would be a good time to, before I forget, because I keep thinking about this guy, Momia, what's his name? Momia. Somebody that is fond of him should utilize the process of getting him released. You know what I'm saying? If you like him so much and you think he's an intelligent person and peaceful and whatnot and all these things, I don't know how peaceful somebody can be with that type of hairline. You see, so I personally would not pursue uh, getting him out of prison. You understand? See what I'm saying? So that's for you guys that are Move fans. You know what I'm saying? But the spirit is keeps telling me to uh, talk about that guy. I don't know anything about him. You know, if he was a righteous man, then get him out of jail. It's not as hard as you think it is. For most residents and most purposes, recognition of tribal boundaries will not even be noticeable. Importantly, the court's opinion does not affect private property ownership. Where there is any jurisdictional uncertainty, we will work with our partners to develop mutually respectful cooperative agreements, such as our intergovernmental cross-deputization agreement, which has been working well for nearly 2 decades, 20 years. So now that means that anybody that owns property in the transfer of title in the map that I showed you, those spaces that half of Oklahoma is going to back to the Creek Nation that was stolen by the conquerors. Okay, so that old man behind bars reminded them that you don't remember stealing this land right here, so you don't have jurisdiction over me. I do whatever I want in my own land. You see what I'm saying? So he reminded them of that, and the Supreme Court said, "Oh yeah, we forgot." My bad, and let him go out of prison. He no longer is spending 1,000 years in prison plus life. I think that must be 1,025 years. That's funny, but I don't know. All I'm telling you is this, bro. This is the reason that CEOs around the country are stepping down from their companies and getting the hell out of Dodge. They're moving out of the country. This is why Jesse Ventura moved to Mexico, because they are paranoid. They think that by us getting our land back, we're all of a sudden going to say, okay, now that we have our land back, let's kill them all. Who the fuck cares to do that? All we want is just our space to move around how we want to move around and practice in commerce how we want to practice in commerce, instead of you coming over here burning up everything and taking our ideas and stealing our intellectual property and then applying it to you and your buddies over in Europe. And all of your friends get rich while we stay completely oppressed and impoverished in perpetuity. So that's not, I mean, how long can you think can it last? What do you think? It's not possible for it to last forever, man. That's just was a dumb diversus. That was just dumb for them to even think that was going to happen. I can understand. Okay, you duped us. You got us for 500 something years. So what? And so you got us for 500 years. So what? Yeah. But once we get the information together, and you know what I'm saying? That's why you try to suppress our numbers with your abortion tactics. See what I'm saying? Because you don't want us to multiply enough to say, hey, we got so many, we're the majority now. Oh, ain't that something? We're the majority. That means we rule. Majority rules. Ha ha! Bro. Pharaoh said, let's deal with them wisely, lest they become greater and mightier than us. So I order you to kill your firstborn of all your children under the age of 2 years old. But they missed Moses. Missed him. You got to be quicker than that. Moses grew to the ripe old age of 80 years old. Then he freed his people. Man, it's just too simple, man. So you want to pick and choose what you like about the Bible and throw the rest away. But the entire Bible is perfect. It makes you free. The Bible has the truth in it. That is what makes you free. You see? It makes wise the simple, like myself, that don't have the language to express how I want to express, like your boy, what's your boy name with the elder guy? Smooth old man with the gray hair and the glasses and the little gap in between his front two teeth. That guy has language. Michael Eric Dyson has language. You see what I'm saying? And so they can tell you it in the most eloquent way possible that gives you a feeling of, yes, that has to be true because you said it so eloquently. But you can have misinformation within your speech as well. You know what I mean? But those are good guys, they're elders, so I'm not gonna be too hard on them. Okay, this decision will inevitably present further questions of jurisdiction and authority that will need to be resolved. I am grateful that this decision would arrive at a time when we have such a good working relationship between the city of Tulsa and the Creek Nation. I am committed to working with Principal Chief David Hill and his colleagues in the government of the Creek Nation to collaboratively address any issues as they arise. So, I mean, I can't overstate enough that these nations live in the United States. So young punks constantly want to tell me that it's not true, that it can't happen, that they'll come and kill you. For what? All you're doing is transferring title on paper. You're going to the courthouses and you're transferring the title. You're registering new information and telling them, don't you remember that we own this land? That's all you're doing. That's all they did. So it doesn't take a full-out civil war to claim land anymore. CWP, Civil War Prevention, full effect. I really need you to get this because this is a move that Black people must make by asserting their self-determination. You see what I'm saying? So hopefully you understand the concept. Finally, I am certain Creek Nation officials join me in condemning the abhorrent crimes of the petitioner in this particular case. And I am confident that the Creek Nation and federal authorities will hold him accountable. See? So clearly this guy, Chief Justice Roberts, right, still wants the Dempsey guy held accountable, which I just said the same thing. If he is in fact guilty based on the evidence, then he deserves to die. So when he goes back to his nation, he's been freed from prison. When he goes back to his nation, then they should kill him. But if he did not do that, and the evidence proves that he did not do that, and the accuser, the young lady, recants her statement and says, I just made it up just to get him in trouble, but I didn't think he was going to get in that much trouble. Good gracious. If that happens, then he should live out the rest of his life. He's only 51 years old. See what I'm saying? He should live out the rest of his life in happiness and drink. But he shouldn't get drunk every day. I'm just saying that's a stereotype of the of the Native Americans that they're drunks. So anyway, Chief Justice John G. Roberts wrote a dissenting opinion, joining by the 3 remaining associate justices, Samuel A. Alito, Brett M. Kavanaugh, and Clarence Thomas. What a shock. As the Creek, the state of Oklahoma, the United States, and other judicial predecessors have long agreed, Congress disestablished any Creek reservation more than 100 years ago, Roberts wrote. Oklahoma therefore had jurisdiction to prosecute McGirt. I respectfully dissent. Where's your citation, clown? You can't just see, that's what I hate about the Supreme Court. Whatever they say is law. They don't need to cite anything. You see what I'm saying? It's up to attorneys to cite everything that they say, but a justice doesn't have to cite a thing. It's just their opinion is fucking law. How? The historic tribal boundaries cover most of an 11-county region in Oklahoma that includes Creek, Hughes, McIntosh, Okfuskee, Okmulgee, and Wagner counties, and portions of Mays, Muskogee, Rogers, Seminole, and Tulsa counties. So those counties clearly have the indigenous names already on them. How can you even imagine that, wow, this is amazing. Okay, I'm trying to figure this out. That's the Creek, the state of Oklahoma, the United States, and our judicial predecessors have long agreed. Congress disestablished any Creek reservation more than 100 years ago. Where? Where's your citation? It you could have easily just beat the man by citing it. You let a broke dude in prison wearing orange jumpsuit beat you, and you're supposed to be a Supreme Court justice? In what world does that make sense other than hell? All right, so that's the information about that, and I'm a little too excited to go further because I'm gonna start going crazy in a minute here. But I'm gonna get on it for the cause of our black nation. I mean, I've already got on it quite multiple times. You feel me? Right, multiple times, all over the place. Understand? So, you know, what can I say? So, you know what I mean? I'm linked. I'm connected. I got the people down to do the things that's necessary, to use the pen uh, over the sword, and to the pen has the necessary um, paperwork filed in locations in order to have a discussion. I don't know why they're trying to convince. Uh, I don't know why they're trying to convince these people. That's the method that they took without my uh, guidance. You don't have to convince a murderer that they murdered somebody. You notify the murderer that they murdered somebody, and then upon evidence presented in a discussion in a court setting with reasonable minds reviewing the evidence, they can agree that, yeah, you killed them. We all saw it on camera. You don't think you're a murderer? No, man, I ain't. I was just resting my knee. No, I didn't murder. I didn't murder. He was jogging. I didn't murder him. Only people in hell can think like that. So, before I get too excited, I just want to say that the proper method to reparations is notification. You notify the people that there's a debt. You don't fucking argue about a debt. All you do is present the evidence, and the reasonable people viewing the evidence are going to say, "What? I didn't know that." Did that really happen? Yeah, it says right here in this in there the when they won the war, when they killed everybody, right? You see it right here. When they killed everybody, they wrote right here. It said, "These guys are weak and uncivilized savages. We killed them all and secured the land and planted our flag on their land. Now we own it." See, they bragged about it. Signed, George Washington. Reasonable people don't find that to be funny. Reasonable people don't find that to be lawful. Reasonable people don't find that to be legal. Reasonable people find that to be warlike, barbaric, obsolete, downright stupid to genocide everybody for land whenever you can just share the land. There could be hundreds and hundreds of millions of animals living everywhere. Look at the pets that people have. There's animals living everywhere. See what I'm saying? But there's, like I said, there's no need to have that much space for the animals anymore. See what I'm saying? But now we have fake skins. See what I'm saying? Or we grow cotton that can make clothes. You see what I'm saying? People didn't grow cotton way back in the day. They wore animal skins and leaves and foliage. See what I'm saying? Or they will mash the foliage into a cloth and wear that. See what I'm saying? But now we have technology that replaces the need for that much space. So we don't have to fight over the land anymore. Just give us our fucking land so we can fucking build like how we like to build. We don't like to build with you people. People like to kidnap kids, our kids. Why don't you kidnap your own kids? Like the Jewishes do. You know what I'm saying? So now that the pale people are getting involved with kidnapping kids, they want to kidnap ours. Instead of, why don't you just make your own and kidnap them? Let them grow up for 4 years and kidnap your own child, bro. Leave our children alone. We need our own space. So we don't have these missing children going on. You understand how annoying that is? That really is going to really cause a sword to be drawn on you. See what I'm saying? So we're trying to peacefully and intellectually let the people around you, the accused, let the people around you know that you owe us. And we're not taking, no, I don't, for a fucking answer. Don't work like that. So, happy that you understood the information that I shared with you. And so I'm glad I could keep my composure, because all of the kids, all of the women that were whipped and whipped and whipped and whipped, and then when I thought he was done, he turned around and burned my eyes out. All of the strange fruit. You owe us, and the reasonable people around you are going to recognize that and deem you guilty. So instead of you running from your fate, you should take our settlement offer as give us our own space so that we can build our own economy and we can trade with each other. This way, our kids can grow up without becoming missing and presumed dead after a certain amount of time. We don't like that. We don't appreciate that. And we need the reasonable people around the accused to understand that and to help us convict the accused. Thanks for listening.